finished with it?
HUD's finished with it. They get their money, whoever bought it pays cash or financed it. The one in Joliet really needs a roof.
So how are you all?
I'm doing well, and you?
I'm the same, good.
So, in this educational activities, how?
Yes, it's been a long time.
I understand how most people's remodeling,
But
or new construction.
Yeah,
it seems that they come for a while and then they leave. And then you wait a little while and then they're ready to come back. Yeah.
When you're not ready for them.
Oh,
I'm
I'm ready
always
to have the
ready.
damn thing done.
America.
I am so ready.
Anyway, it'll be nice if, it's an old house, what are you gonna do?
What are you doing to your house?
Kitchen, bathroom,
Oh, wow. I added a mudroom.
that's
So,
next maybe.
I had a little one, now I have a giant one.
For your dogs.
No,
Oh,
storage.
oh,
It's an old house, 1910.
That's the one thing we missed about our house in town, we had an amazing mudroom when we lived out in the country, and
I bet it was amazing. Yeah, cool. And now
there you are.
I've been in your house now, and
It's a lovely house, we love our house,
yeah,
but, you know, you can't just drop stuff.
Yeah. Well, I've got
and
it,
close the door.
Yeah.
I've got it, you know, in one of the bedrooms, and I've got extra stuff in the bathroom and extra stuff in the, I just got to get it all together in one spot out of the other room. Okay, well, it is 8:00, so she has the recording going, so let's go ahead and call this meeting of the Public Health and Safety Standing Committee meeting to order of Tuesday, July 22nd. Your meeting minutes looked good to me,
Thank you.
and since it's you and I, we'll vote yay, okay? And since the chief isn't here, we were trying to, I wanted to see some numbers, but darn,
Yeah, was looking forward to that. But,
yeah.
Well, I thought it was okay. I don't know, I went downtown a lot, and drove downtown, everybody looks really, really old, and.
They're the ones you should worry about.
No, I was fearing for their lives, not mine, 'cause but,
I heard that one too, yeah, a couple of the people in the office were downtown, and some guy who I guess was drunk on his bike and they weren't sure whether it was a girl or a child on the back of his bike, and he was doing wheelies and dumped them right on the pavement on their face.
Oh,
Yeah, so I heard that there was lots of sirens
yeah.
going on, and then, of course, we had that death on Sunday.
That Roberts.
Yeah,
You're
down in
What was
Robert.
that all about? What happened?
Apparently, a deer ran out in front of a Toyota, and the airbags deployed, causing the car to go in the oncoming traffic and had a head-on with a 51-year-old woman on a motorcycle.
Oh.
So she died out in the site, right there.
Haven't
So,
heard that one.
yeah, so that one obviously was tragic and nobody's fault except for the deer, who I doubt that lived, so. Yeah,
Yeah, that,
that's just an area where deer cross quite often, somewhere around Selms, so. Okay, well then let's get into an ordinance of the City of Red Lodge, Montana to update Title IV Public Health and Safety of the Red Lodge City Municipal Code, Chapter 4-1-16, Solid Waste, to better address attractant waste and construction waste. I'm always a little uncomfortable with the whereases, and whereas the City of Red Lodge desires to have an easily understood city code, and whereas the City of Red Lodge responsibly, legally, and effectively contracts to a third party to provide garbage services for the citizens of Red Lodge, and whereas garbage management for the City of Red Lodge is crucial to the public health of the community. And I was kind of wondering at that point whether we should also say to the public health of the community and wildlife.
You're talking about your fifth, your fourth,
Third,
your, yeah,
third whereas.
okay.
I don't know. And then whereas the people of Red Lodge live with wildlife and wish no harm to come to them. And whereas Chapter 4, Section 1 does not effectively cover all the public health and safety concerns surrounding garbage management in Red Lodge as it relates to residents. Now, therefore. So this is actually copied out of our code. And the changes that I made was to add D and E. For those in the room, A was solid waste shall be stored in metal or plastic containers having, it did say tight
I have
fitting.
one extra copy, if anybody.
I have one here too. Having tight fitting lids, and we took out the word fitting and changed it to latching, to have tight latching covers. And then, we added D, all attractants shall be stored in a bear-resistant container. Containers shall not be overfilled so they don't close securely. Containers shall not be purposefully disabled. These are things that we've discovered. And then when we got to the construction sites shall have a bear-resistant container for attractant waste. If the construction dumpster is not bear-resistant, a separate bear-resistant container shall be available for attractant waste. It shall be an offense to fail to secure trash in a way that prevents trash from blowing and becoming litter. Construction dumpsters shall be covered and secured when unattended. So hopefully that takes care of the blowing.
I think this is what we talked about
Trash.
2 weeks ago, and I commend you for, somehow making all of what, we talked about a lot, and you did well to,
I wanted to make sure I captured everything.
yeah,
And if so, then we can go ahead and maybe present this tonight for them to take a look at,
okay,
since we have a couple readings in order to make this work.
right. So,
Okay,
looks good to me.
okay, good. I was hoping that the mayor would give us an update on the Fifth Street and Hauser traffic concerns. Have you noticed any difference? Did they do anything to help?
By anything to help, what do you mean?
Well, I know that we talked about putting that
Here
temporary,
he comes.
oh, good. To put
Oh,
a,
you mean the sign, well, the sign was up there for a while, the
We talked
flashing
about it last week.
speed indicator sign.
yeah,
It's gone now. It was taken away a couple
when the
weeks ago.
batteries died.
Or something happened, it's not there anymore.
Mr. Mayor is here.
It did make a difference though. Yes. When it was on,
Did it make a difference?
yes.
Very nice. And I believe that someone also talked to some of the, one of the big, I don't know if they talked to IGA or who, about their, big trucks coming in using Hauser as a thoroughfare.
Well,
Hi, Mr. Mayor.
they're not the only ones.
So
Right,
there was actually, what it was actually, I think, was a call that Jeff made to the company, and they did a follow-up.
oh,
And
they
that
did.
wasn't, it was a contractor's company out of Billings.
Oh,
And
okay,
it wasn't a big semi-tractor trailer.
it wasn't the big
Were
one.
they receptive to your concerns?
She was, the lady that called me, from NWCC Northwest something contracting, talked to the business owner, sounds like her husband, and, then she got back to me and she said the person who did this is going to be losing weight will have lost some weight after that conversation.
Gonna get chewed out?
I
Yeah.
don't think it's a chewable offense. I feel
Well,
sorry
it
for the
is
guy.
for blowing.
Well, he
You blow the stop
blew right
sign.
through the stop sign, and I watched the truck do it
No,
with
but-
the trailer on the back. So anyways, I haven't heard back from her since, and I haven't seen any of those vehicles around the neighborhood with the trailers and stuff, so I don't know.
Okay, and I know
Um,
that the mayor's discussing it with, Public Works.
Did
for-
any of you all go to the meeting last Thursday night of the And was that helpful to your concerns about, getting the asphalt painted and the timing of
It
that?
was very helpful as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, it was.
Okay,
But they did not talk about the asphalt being painted.
No, they didn't.
but
And
I think the point is we can't paint until that area is all done.
Actually, we're gonna get a white line down sooner rather than later.
Oh, well,
Because
that's
we're thinking
new.
that, so the stop line, we are going to do, and basically it's on the to-do list, so as soon as it gets done, as soon as it can be done,
Oh,
with water leaks and everything else, it will be done. But
I guess that was discussed after the meeting per se, when we were.
Well, we had that resolved previously, as we'd gone down there and looked at it, it was determined that it won't be the text, but the line is gonna, there are two reasons we went with the line. One, it can be done rather easily and quickly, and two, it's scalable. So one of the questions that came up as I took it up with Public Works is, well, what if they ask for a line someplace else or something? And I said, then we'll do it. We've done stop lines before and it's not a big deal, so we will do that.
I think a lot of stop lines would be effective.
yes,
In my mind's eye, I'm looking at, thinking, there's not a lot of stop lines in town. So if it's something that can be
Done
pursued maybe
easily.
next year or something,
It's at least a step forward to see a white line like that, you know that there's gonna be a stop, whether there's a big motorhome parked in front of it or not. So,
the motorhome's actually down on Sixth, and it is back again, and it is still blocking the mileage sign.
you know what I noticed is like when you come out of the market and you turn onto, is that Hauser there?
Yes,
There's no speed limit sign there. So people coming out of the market and heading, north, there's no speed limit sign.
There's
So,
one at the sprinkler cabinet next to the, ice rink there.
yeah,
15
once
mile
you
hour.
get down a ways,
Yes,
once
yes.
you get down a ways, but not on the corner by the gazebo. And I was wondering if that would help at all, just as an idea there, Mr. Mayor, is that people do come out of the market and head that direction. So maybe, that would at least get them going slower earlier, especially that's, you know, the whole park
yeah.
there, so, with lots of
Yeah,
people.
it doesn't make sense to have it right there next to the rink. You know,
Yeah.
we're already next to where all these people might be that are using the
kids,
park.
Yeah,
Kids.
tons
So-
of kids.
tons of kids.
So,
Exactly.
yeah, I know what you're talking about, and I've had that question, I will bring it up. And by the way, thank you for, and I realize I'm the only one here right now, but thank you for addressing that request to me as opposed to staff, so.
It may be slow, but I get there.
Can I ask,
Yes,
who should it be approaching these businesses, about the big trucks, about this and that? Is there a way to get, I would think it would be better if a city council person went to them and said,
Well-
here's the problem.
the problem, as much as it's distasteful, having the big commercial trucks go down Hauser, stopping at the stop sign is important. So if we can control their speed and stopping at the stop sign, that, it may annoy them enough that they'll use Broadway. But, and that's strictly for,
No, and the reality is, it is a road, and roads exist for
traffic.
driving on, whether that be commercial or private or anything else. So I don't know, and so, again, if I go back to scalable, this isn't our only road, this isn't our only neighborhood, and we're not, you know, we put traffic signs up, we don't go around and knock on everybody's door and say, hey, there's a speed limit here, please drive it. We post it, and we expect people to do it, and then we regulate and cite if they don't.
I was just thinking that if, councilperson went to the, like IGA or Ace Hardware, and whoever the owner or manager is, could get the word out to your delivery folks.
But where does that end? Do they come knock on your door and say, hey, this is a 15 mile an hour in front of here, make
No,
sure you do
no,
that?
I'm talking about the great big trucks, the big semis go down there. You know, we know where they're going right to IGA.
Which trucks are we talking about?
Food delivery trucks.
Well, I know, but specifically, which trucks, because we probably have 15 plus,
He's IGA.
I own the IGA. And
Oh,
so,
good, well, you're
what trucks, I need to know specifically,
okay,
what is the incident? Is it they're not stopping at the stop sign?
right.
And see, the one I'm,
I
was
haven't
actually
seen
a,
your trucks do
was
it.
actually a construction truck, and that was somebody who reached out to the company directly
Right,
when they saw a specific individual, this truck with this plate
right.
didn't stop there.
And if in fact you see that happen, then contact Mr. Mayor or myself. I have an in at Ace, I know the owner, so I can just say, oh, by the way, your truck that came today was
Yeah,
doing,
and oftentimes I think
30.
they're leaving, they're northbound, that's what I generally see.
yeah.
You know, it's whether it's Ace or SIA,
Yeah,
S-A-I-A, whatever that
that's a
company,
big one.
you know, a common freight kind of company. I think the general issue, I think, was just the usage, the
The
Which
amount
is
of-
legal.
more usage of Hauser by bigger vehicles in general.
And I think, I go back to, that's going to happen. I get that it's your neighborhood, but we're not gonna go tell people, hey, go drive through this neighborhood instead, or take
Yeah, I
this route or
understand.
that
Yeah.
route, or.
It's
Part of
legal,
the problem is Oaks used to be the secondary main,
and they blocked it.
and the state went against the city's wishes and they removed the exit, the easy entrance and exit to Oaks for larger trucks
Yeah,
with their parking lot that they put next to the library. So they eliminated Oaks as a secondary
Well, it's still there, but there's 90-degree turns in it.
90-degree turn, so the bigger the truck, the more difficult it is to get onto Oaks. So
Hauser is the,
that pushes it towards Hauser, and I suspect the vehicles that are using your street are probably headed to Absorki, you know, they're doing that north route, and that's why and it, frankly, this time of year, to get a large truck onto Main Street to exit north or south is a challenge.
it's a challenge.
And so, I have a suggestion, and I'm not quite sure, it may take some participation from the property owners in your neighborhood. I've seen them, I don't know how they work specifically, but a stop sign with flashing lights around the perimeter would help draw attention as well to drivers that you need to stop here. I don't know if that's something you want in your neighborhood, that's up to you guys, but, and how you could help that happen. You know, a lot of times we ask our city to provide things that frankly they don't have in their budget. And so it's something to think about, how you can help the city
Help you.
with some of the
Well,
issues you're having.
and we've had that discussion in question, and I go back to scalable. If we put a flashing stoplight, a sign with flashing lights around it there, go to all the regulations, and here's what we have to do in the hoops. Where do I put the boundaries? How do I not have every stop sign in, you know, why that stop sign and not every stop sign in town has a flashing light on it?
Right.
That's a much larger scale than we put a
Well,
stop
that's
sign in.
what
And
I-
my response to stop sign is, if somebody else asks for it, we put it down. A white line is not the end of the world and
No.
particularly difficult.
No, I'm just saying,
That,
for the
that,
flashing, I suggest that there be some participation from the neighborhood to help get those in place.
Well, and in fairness, that addresses the scalability. If somebody comes and says, why do they get a flashing stop sign and we don't? They pay for it. Is that kind of your thinking?
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
But you
Because
want
in
a
reality,
flashing light in your
I've
neighborhood?
come to these meetings all the time, and the reality for funding
For
and
me.
for that to happen, it doesn't happen in a short period of time. It ends up being maybe next year, or, you know,
Well, and again, it goes back to
Trying to get-
scalability, right? Because the white line, like, that's easy enough.
right.
It's cheap enough.
to get
Let's
this
do
back
it.
on track here, it's a thoroughfare. So we really have trucks, we have all kinds of things going through Hauser. We're more concerned with not stopping at the stop sign or speeding. And I would say that if you find that and you can at least get the name of the commercial vehicle, if that's the biggest problem, or a license plate or something like that, then call City Hall and report it, and we can go from there. But,
And I actually like what Jeff did, where he called them directly,
yeah,
personally.
I love that too. That took care of it.
I think we'd be happy with, to start with the lines.
Start with the
And then
line.
after the asphalting takes place, the sidewalks, then also have stop written. I understand that that project probably won't happen in the neighborhood till at least next summer.
But the line would be
But the
nice.
line could be
Mine
there.
would be.
And we'll see how that goes.
That's a great start, and I also appreciate the fact that, I don't know if it was Ace or if it was the city, that they did seem to cut off the branch behind the hardware store.
Yesterday,
Okay,
I have some good news and bad news. Red Lights Tree Service was there to cut down the spruce tree at the Episcopal Church. So I walked over there with my coffee cup, like 8 o'clock in the morning, and asked them if they would trim around the 15-mile-an-hour thing. And they did. If I talked to Frank first, he said, go for it. If they charge you, I'll give you credit on your account. I said, great, but they didn't charge us anything. So that happened yesterday, and thank Red Lights Tree Service.
yeah, I rode by just.
So I'm glad it stuck out.
Yes, it did.
And if there's ever any awarenesses of signs that we have that are blocked, let us know, because that's certainly something we could do from a city standpoint. I know there was some on Word and that,
It
when
happens.
people pointed out they couldn't see it, we responded to that fairly quickly within a week or two.
It happens.
Can we get the portable, electric sign though, that says this is your speed?
The speed limit sign.
We have that, but it has to be recharged, and then it's also being moved around town. So my request is that it's always in use,
Okay.
but it's not necessarily always going to be in your neighborhood.
Okay.
We could buy one, right?
Yeah, that
I'm
one's,
just kidding.
that
And then
one's
you can
rather
plug it in
pricey.
somewhere.
Well,
But don't do it
I think that goes back to, so if anybody's been over to Cook City, they have like smaller versions of that are portable. And I think, again, I have to go to the scalability, right? How do I, if I put one in there, how do I then say no to the 27 other neighborhoods that are gonna have the exact same request? And if it's they bought one and we put it in for them, or we allowed them to have it there, that's okay, because if 27 people want to buy those around town, fine, we'll do that around town. But I don't see that permanent thing happening there just because of the scalability. Where do I say yes, where do I say no? And I get that it's the most important to you, but if I go someplace else, that's the most important to them, and the whole not in my backyard thing is real.
Now, if you can't read the speed sign, like there's one across from Gretchen that has the big RV.
That's the one, the sixth in the house.
Yeah.
Even if you could see it, you probably should repaint it. You can barely see the letters on it anymore.
Okay.
But my complaint, and I've talked to that neighbor several times about it, and he may be meeting the law, the spirit of the law.
This man owned the yellow house.
Yeah.
I noticed 3 license plates, so he, must live there part-time.
No, his wife lives there all the time.
Oh,
But the trailer's not there all the time. I
okay,
think he goes
gotcha.
there some in the winter.
okay.
But the trick he tried to do it was this week. Somebody, he left and somebody else parked right there with a big trailer and a big pickup. So now the problem's not solved, it's just a different vehicle that makes it look like a parking lot.
Is that a place that a white line would help?
No,
it
there's no
seems-
stop sign
Yeah.
on Sixth and Hauser.
It seems crazy that we have to do that just because people are parking big vehicles in
So
front
the
of them.
only sign that's there is that 15-mile-an-hour sign that you would see going
Oh.
southbound, and
It's the speed
and
limit sign.
he's parked in front of with the motorhome and the trailer behind it.
But there are 15-mile-an-hour signs prior to that.
I don't think so, are there?
Not coming from the north.
Yeah.
That's the first one from the north. And it's pretty critical because the sixth goes right down to the playground.
So when you're coming from the north off of Highway 78, there's no speed limit sign from Highway 78 down to 6?
No, there's a 25 right as you first come off, and then it switches to, it's like a block or two in,
To 15.
and then it
At
switches to
6.
and they're basically opposing. So there's one here that says 15 from here south, and there's one here saying it's now 25 from here. so it's the same.
One on the east side, one on the west side.
Yeah, they're opposing, at the line where the speed limit switches, there's signs on both sides. And that's just a general thing everywhere.
Rod?
I would suggest, because public right of way, you really can't tell people where they can and can't park their vehicles. You may also consider, after paving, putting a 15 mile an hour on the pavement, and then you can't help but see it.
Yeah.
I thought you had 5 days. It could be
Yeah,
parked.
there is a limit on.
There's a limit, but again, it's public right of way, and you're always gonna have that challenge.
And if somebody goes out and moves it 4 inches to where a chalk mark is covered, they've
Moved it.
they've complied with the law, but they're still blocking a sign.
Which moves us into the next, topic here, which is the RVs on the streets, power cords. Now, is it 5 days or 2 weeks for parking?
5 days, is to my knowledge.
Yeah. And I know that this is a continuous problem for some people. And I'm gonna say some people, because usually they're parked in front of a home and it's his brother-in-law, you know, and the only way the chief had told us was that if there was a complaint, then they went out and marked it, but without the complaint. Now, the power cords
You're
across,
talking about 2 separate regulations too. We have one regulation that says
you can't live in it,
no camping in public right of way.
right? One is you can't live in it, and the other is parking for 5 days.
Well, he is living in this man.
Oh, we don't know.
I can name a few that are living in it as an extra bedroom type of thing.
Okay.
And I think that happens all over town. And the chief had said that unless they get a complaint, you know, they don't go, yes, we have rules against it. The power cords across the sidewalks, to me, is more problematic
Yes,
for safety.
yes.
And yeah, there's a rule against that. I don't remember what the chief said about that. And I've seen power cords that have those, covers over them, or they tape them down, you know, bright yellow tape, trying to make sure that people don't trip on them, which is thoughtful.
I guess that's a step in the right direction.
I think there's probably a regulation against that, so I'll take that.
I mean, we honestly have regulations against both of those.
Well,
And-
I count 3 things: 5-day parking, camping in right of way, power cords on sidewalks.
Yeah, and,
I've got those.
Just in defense of the police department, because they get a lot of flack about not enforcing the laws. The problem being is the things you're talking about are when we have extra things happening in the community, which leads to increased calls for service from the police department. So unless you hire, at great expense, a enforcement officer for, you know, a compliance officer,
compliance.
you're not gonna, it's gonna be a call-based situation, because officers are going to all sorts of different things. doing-
All the time.
They're distracted from the little stuff because they're dealing with the bigger stuff.
Yeah,
So,
and I have no complaints with the police department not running around trying to enforce that, but the rules are there if there is a complaint.
right.
And there's nothing more that we can do about it.
Well, I think that the need for a complaint is kind of ridiculous when you've got somebody that's been parking there for going on months at a time. Yeah, I know they can move it 4 inches and still be in compliance, but they're not abiding by the spirit of the regulation. And to think that every officer's time is completely saturated with going to this or that or the other complaint, large or small, and over the course of months can't stop and speak with the person, that seems ridiculous to me.
Well, duly noted. And,
When do I get to speak? During public comment?
do you wanna bring up another topic?
I do, but it's health and safety, I think. or,
Okay. Well-
there's 2 junkyards in this town. And I've read
Yards that are junky or junkyards?
the yards that are junky,
Mm.
and you all know where they are, the corner of Grant and 22nd and Word.
Oh, I could name a few.
Well, those 2 are, like, I've read through the ordinances. That seems like a health and safety problem. I don't know how to address that. I just,
Well,
but maybe, it's a lot of things aren't, you gotta, the neighbor has to complain before something's happened, which is, but those 2 yards are just disgraceful.
it's private property. We don't have HOAs that control what's going on private property.
I'll add a little bit more to that, because one of the ideas is kind of like, hey, we go in and condemn it, but then it's now the city's, you don't really wanna go there, you don't wanna go to a taking situation.
No.
As a general matter of public policy, but then the second one is, it then becomes, let me take another one that'll be easy. Eagle's Nest, let's just go in and condemn it. Okay, now what? Right, we're then responsible for going in and fixing it, we don't have the money or the,
Wherewithal.
It's just,
no.
I mean, they're lucky I'm not their neighbor. That's all I can say.
And honestly, you know, if the neighbors don't like it, they should get together and
Yeah,
talk to them.
it's a thing like that, but, you
That's
know,
what they
I've
should do,
been wondering about it.
because it is private property and you have the right to deal with it any way you want.
What a pity.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm not sure that there's a problem with health or safety. You know, attached.
I agree with Ann, I think those are both a factor there, but I'm also concerned about what we can do.
Yeah.
I apologize, Madam Chair, did you go through the ordinance and in that first couple minutes?
We did, and if you would like to go back, we would certainly appreciate the input.
So I had 2 things so on page 2, I think construction dumpsters shall be covered and secured when unattended is a separate bullet item, so an F, if you will.
We can do that.
And then the other thing is, it shall be an offense to fail, okay, great, it's offensive. I think my recollection was that we had talked about putting the fines in here, because that wasn't something that was gonna change regularly, so we were okay putting it in the ordinance, but I didn't see any information about fines in there.
And that was a question, because sometimes we do it as a resolution, sometimes we do it in the ordinance. It's really difficult to decide which way to go.
And I think I share your confusion / frustration. I think things that are fees, pool, utilities, blah, 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 we set, that are gonna be revisited regularly are by resolution. Things that are fines, I think we're stabilizing toward ordinance.
And would that be, if construction dumpsters covered unattended would be F, would I make that G?
Or is it a whole, and I haven't compared this, everything, so I think what it is you've got 1 municipal, 2 effective date, I think you stick it in between effective dates and have there be a fine, so effective dates is 3 and 2 is fines, and it's a separate section. So 1 is defining this is an offense, this is an offense, this is an offense, 2 says first offense, $100 or whatever you guys come up with, but
Okay.
you can get council's input there. I apologize for being late, but I thought, wow, we missed that, so
And we
I
did,
missed that.
yeah, no worries. And Ann, we did talk about the fines being the first offense is 100. Did we
Mhm.
decide to make it more each time?
Nope.
Or
It was
100
100
each?
each time.
Each offense?
Yep.
Just because it would add up. And, Mr. Mayor, I was surprised that there were only a couple hundred dumpsters that were, not latching properly in the town.
So far, it's actually about a third of what's been monitored.
And I know that like mine latches, but it's an effort to make it latch. After you put it down, I have to wiggle the thing. So it latches. So is that a bad dumpster?
And I don't know that we're getting consensus. So one thing that has been a change is you can now go online and report that you have a bad dumpster. So people can go online and report that, and get it changed. We're still working with Republic to get those swapped out. I noticed that the areas that I have done, and I've probably done a third of what's in there. I went out yesterday morning, for those who are interested, I think going out on the morning of trash day is the best time to do it, because the trash cans are all out, particularly up in the neighborhood of the golf course. On the alleys, they're kind of out in general anyway. But I have a much lower percentage that are not functioning. And so I wonder, when you have different people testing and doing the test and you don't have clear lines, if people are saying, well, that one was only sometimes, and so they're marking that as no, which I almost wanted to, ability to put a comment, yes, it closes, but it's work or something, so. But right now, we're just providing that list to Republic. And they're figuring, because of the scale, they're figuring out how to address that. But we have performance clauses in the new one that says, in the proposal, that says 48 hours after they've been notified, it's taken care of, or it's $50 a day after that, which I think will result in not having 30% dumpsters that don't work.
I like it. And honestly, I'm not sure they need to trade them out or just spray them with WD-40.
Well, and there's a canister versus, there's one can
repair.
I found that the whole can is actually bad and cracked. The dumpster works, but there's
Okay.
but it's cracked and stuff, so
Yeah, so that's a definite replace,
I think so, but.
yeah. Okay, so then, you have any other, concerns on this, attractant waste and construction waste?
Nope, I don't.
Those are the two, do you feel ready to talk about that tonight?
I do,
Okay.
and I can go ahead and make this change.
You hadn't included it on the agenda, but when you included this in there, I thought, I'm gonna go ahead and put it there and move the conversation to council.
Okay, I can do that, I think. I have time between,
3 meetings?
10:15 and 11:45 today.
If we completely replace 4116 with this, is there anything that we're taking out that we shouldn't be taking out?
I didn't take, the only thing I took out was the word under A, instead of tight fitting, we took out the word fitting and
Okay.
changed it to
So
lasting.
the stuff that's in black is the full extent of what's in that section of code right now?
I just copied the section.
That was kind of your question, is this is existing, this is new, and.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, Dennison told me to do it this way. Made it easier.
are we moving on?
Yes, Bear Safe updates.
Yes.
Do we have any update on Bear Safe?
I can tell you that we have what I presume is 2 bears in town right now, and what those involve. We've got one on the southwest and one on the northeast, black bears that are being in cans. I don't know what our total number of cans monitored is, but I know we've increased it by at least 50 over what it was, because those are the ones that I've done. I mentioned I don't have quite as high of out of commission as what had been reported in the grand mass of it. And we are still working with Republic on getting those swapped out, so I kind of already snuck that in, I apologize.
Okay.
There was one at 6th and the alley, last night,
A
The
bear?
a bear.
On your side?
On my side, yeah, on the
Yeah.
west side. Trash is down out in the alley, and there are droppings in the middle of 6th Street.
Yeah, they can't get away with that, they drop stuff. Yeah.
Then you know for sure there's a bear there. How odd, you know, in my alley, I haven't had a bear there in years.
Use yourself.
Our real problem is the guy who feeds the feral cats
Oh,
and
that
the
guy.
raccoons.
Oh, they've come in now?
Yeah, there was a mama and her 3 babies trotting down the sidewalk. My dogs go crazy. One of the babies went through the fence, and my dogs got a hold of it. because they have a toy that looks just like it.
Mm.
So they were tossing it in the air, and, yeah, it wasn't pretty, and then they brought it in the house and put it in the toy box.
Well trained, very neat and tidy.
By then, it's this close to, yeah. Anyway, so I've seen more raccoons this year than I have in the 20 years previous. So, I don't know if anybody else is having a raccoon issue.
We've got raccoons in our alley,
Have you always? Or is that
off
new?
and on, yeah.
It's interesting in talking with Dan, because I had sent him some pictures of one up West Fork that I've seen eating the berries that I see daily up there, but out on the trails, and he says, well, it's a part-time bear, so he describes the ones in town as being part-time bear, part-time raccoon, because they have that behavior where they're going through that's a bear being a raccoon, so.
That's a bear being a raccoon.
Well, and I guess so anyway, that's it. We're still, the signs, we are working on putting the signs up on the entrances into the town, just by way, and that's in budget. It's
What? You mean
two,
a new sign, a new speeding sign?
no,
Oh.
we're talking about bears now.
Oh, bear signs.
So
Okay.
there's, where the existing YW at Yellowstone Wildlife Sanctuary signs are by the shop, and then quite a ways north of town, those are the bear safety signs that we talked about. And we actually put $2,000 in the budget, in the trash budget related to that, which is basically talking about closing trash cans. The committee is also looking into how much is it gonna cost us to do stickers on the cans. They've come up with about $800, but we're looking at funding beyond what the city has. So I think from the city standpoint, we can put $1,000 to $2,000 a year into making sure we're doing, educating the public and doing that, but we also need to keep that capped and at a limit, so. But those signs are designed and ready to go. It's just coordinating the city and the printer and the company that did the work for us pro bono.
Is it on all 4 entrances, and what do they
No,
say?
there's 2 entrances, but there's 2 signs, because there's one on either side. The ones coming into town say, protect yourself, protect the bear, secure your trash. And the ones going out say, put a lid on bear encounters or something.
So these billboards, is that what they are?
Yeah, they are 8 foot high by 12 feet wide. So those signs are basically 3 8x12, or 4 by 8 sheets. So those are 8 by 12 signs coming into and out of town.
Do they have a cute little bear on it?
212. Pardon?
Do they have a cute little bear on it, or
No.
a ferocious bear?
It's and we've seen that in council, you've seen it, so. The first time it was an AI-generated bear, and then they went back and went to something that looked a little less friendly, because that was one of the concerns that was raised.
That it was cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need
Well, it was confusing, like I said,
that
there
bear.
was one of them they had that said, we think it's trash, they think it's a buffet, and there was a confusion, particularly if it was a cute bear. Well, some people are gonna think that's a lovely thing, because that means we get to see a bear, and so they went with signs that were no confusion, that this is not a good thing, and I said, that's where the protect yourself, protect the bear thing came from out of that.
I like that.
The live chat boxes, that we bought for the raccoons at one point, they got a vicious raccoon, I mean, it's like, oh.
Yeah.
One with foaming white stuff coming out.
That's a good idea.
So I think that's the bear updates. I'm working with Dan on a letter that we're gonna give them when they see problems and issues that they can put on doors or cans, to let people know that they could be cited, which goes back to when this is in place. It'll refer probably to codes
To the ordinance,
and say this is what you need to do, and fines up, $100
$100
fine,
every time,
for each offense.
each offense.
So that's the updates for that.
Okay.
Since the chief isn't here, do you have anything interesting to, allow, as they say down south, about the Beartooth Rally?
To allow.
They just say that, to say.
So as far as it was a very low, traffic and complaints compared to previous years. I think that crowd we've seen dwindling over the last several years. One of the things that was interesting is they did not initially have the throttle down signs up. And I actually got a call or two on that, and it turned out what had happened is the signs arrived and were lost in the post office. Actually, they got sent back and got reordered, and so when the signs did arrive, they did get them up, and so that was a little bit slower there.
I've liked reading them, yeah.
Yeah.
Good advertisement for them.
The only, you may have noticed we had a much higher officer presence on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday in particular. And part of that is because we have several neighboring agencies that all come and participate, so that is not a cost to the city other than burgers, that we supply those with. And you would have noticed that the officers were all driving around in pairs as well. But the only arrest that I'm aware of was at one of the rallies, and it actually wasn't a biker, it was just your average street drunk, that showed up and was problematic. Now, interestingly enough, there were actually, dual complaints filed, but, they didn't, and they were both made by bystanders, but they didn't have the name, but, and for those that may have been present at the rallies, apparently there was somebody with a kind of jabbing at the drunk guy, with the sticks and stuff. And the officer said if they had seen or witnessed that as it was reported, they would have probably made an arrest there as well. So I think, for those that are part of those crowds, we just need to remember, we're all protecting the right to protest and the right to speak out and free speech, but it goes two ways, and we need to be careful and make sure that we're not.
Dave, I was there, and I can attest that that the protesters were standing back, that there was no.
There was specifically, and I've heard it from multiple sources, there was a male protester with a sign that they said was thrusting it at, what was described as thrusting it at people. And so they didn't observe it, so they didn't do it, but like I said, just for those that are there, make sure, like I said, remember, right to speech is protected from both sides.
But we were very well aware of that, and so
But the drunk guy was there and witnessed and taken care of, so. Yes, sir.
I'll say that just from my own experience from years past, and living through this in the years past, this was a much quieter weekend than
I thought
before.
so too.
And, you know, being able to go to bed at 10 o'clock and not being awakened by roaring motorcycles starting up or whatever, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it was
I thought
almost like a
Broadway
non-event.
Broadway seemed to be shared with both tourists and bikes, which was
Yeah.
a nice thing.
mhm.
It
That
seemed
way
to
it
be
should
pretty
be.
well controlled and behaved, and I noticed the extra presence, and in fact, Dick Nolan mentioned to me a couple mornings ago that, he was out doing yard work at his house up at the golf course on Saturday, and officers came by saying they were looking for a couple of, motorcyclists that were creating a lot of noise, so there was proactivity. It was like they were out there doing the job.
And we will get our calls for services reports for the next meeting. We get those at the first of the month. So when we get to our next meeting, we'll have the details on that. But in my interactions, and like I said, the only one that I'm aware of was that was kind of noteworthy was the drunk downtown. And I don't know how much that was actually associated with the protest, or if it was just a drunk downtown.
And he was confused because he thought that they were protesting against the motorcyclists.
Is that what he thought?
Yeah,
Oh,
this afternoon, and he was drunk.
Oh,
Yeah, there was little, so anyway, they got that taken care of. But, like I said, I just had a concern, and one of the pieces of feedback was, just, everybody needs, and I know that they said that the right to free speech, and I'm on the record multiple times saying, I will defend that in every way, shape, or form at every opportunity, but it's a two-way right. And
I will talk to the organizers.
so they have the ability to come up and say, you're ugly and your mother dresses you funny, and they're protected there too, so. But, the part that I was concerned about was when I got multiple reports of a male that was,
I will talk to the
so,
organizers.
yeah,
Was he thrusting his sign at them?
yeah. And so, and that was kind of, that doesn't sound, but, and the officers, like I said, they didn't witness it, they didn't see it, and so they didn't do, but they did raise it as a concern to relay on, and I now feel like I have done that, so it'll make it to the organizers. So,
Excellent. I think that we're down.
As we get down to the review projects, timelines and committees, I would think that's probably the spot where you can say, here's new stuff that we need to throw in there. So like you had one earlier.
I'm gonna print out the, timeline that we did like a year ago, and we'll take a look at it
Very good.
and take off or add on as needed.
And was yours was the, junkyards in town was what you raised, right?
But I think I got my question answered. I mean, nothing we can do about it.
There's no regulations regulating what you do
I
on
think
your
we
own
can still
property.
look into it, but like I said, I think that's is where we
And
bring
there's
it up
more
on
than
the
two,
agenda.
that's the other thing.
If there's something
I
on
think you
private
have to look at
property,
it. Is it a public hazard, or is it just you don't like the way, the choices that person's
Yeah,
making in their life?
absolutely.
Well,
You're
there's a concept called an attractive nuisance as well, and some of those, there's actually been one of the ideas that has come up is if the insurance companies are aware, they may end up losing their insurance over it as well, and so that's, but like I said, my concern that we have to look at, and we can't just say, the city's gonna go in and take it over, because, again, public policy, and is that repeatable and scalable?
and that's
And then
a
the second
drastic
one is,
measure.
then it just becomes the hospital, let's condemn it, great, now we need to come up with $1 million to tear it down.
Yeah, that's a drastic response when it could just be the neighbors. I mean, if there's something on the neighbor's property that could catch fire and the neighborhood go up, that's a real issue.
And I think specifically the ones that Ann referenced, that there's a real possibility that there are other things that are either in the public right of way, or, you know, there could be elements that are
That we could.
citable. But then the second part is you look at some of those, we need to be sympathetic and realize that there are folks dealing with challenges that we don't all necessarily understand or get. So,
I know that at one point we had an employee here that told the planning board, he went around and took pictures of all of those ugly things out there, like the sheds, garages, you know, that were listing to one side, and wanted to clean up the whole town. I mean, one guy did have his trash can hanging from a tree. Yeah, sort of like,
bear-proof,
Very
right?
it was a trash pinata.
Was that Halloween? No.
No, it was a trash pinata. So there were
Oh.
things that he was asking the planning board to do something about in zoning, and we opted not to do that. We did address the tear down garages, that people don't tear down because they're afraid that then they lose even, you know, any semblance of storage, even though they wouldn't in their life put
Well,
a
they
car
can't
in.
rebuild it if they tear it down.
The planning board changed
Oh.
the rules, because generally they're right on the property line.
Yep.
And we have a 6-foot setback, and they're generally right on the alley. So we took off the setback on the alley, there's no setbacks
Oh,
on the alley. And if it's currently on the property line, you can rebuild it, rip it all the way down. And you can't increase the problem, but you can go from your property line in.
great.
So we did that with the hopes that people would tear down those old garages. So
How'd that
once
work?
they fell
How'd that
down.
work, Sandy?
I mean, that was the idea behind that. But we talked about, you know, the guy that had the big pile of wood over here on the corner, you know, that sometimes you think, gee, you know, there's gonna be critters in it, and,
Fire.
yeah, fire, and the fire department did go out and do an assessment and found that he was actually okay. So, we can handle that, because that could have been a problem.
Sure, yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
Madam Chair, I want to make sure we give you, we're at wrap-up time, I want to make sure you
Yeah.
have time for public comment, but I also, I'm looking at, because I thought we had this on this, but I'm not seeing it, but I was pretty sure it was there, the collective bargaining agreement, that's kind of got it tied to Public Works too. Did you guys look at it?
I looked at that on Friday, yep.
So the short version is of, mostly the changes are just updating the contract. There were several requests for additional stipends, or dollars that we didn't address, because when we did the research, it wasn't warranted out. The only changes that were in there, was actually a change that we suggested, specifically, as I was going in there, We had maternity leave at 6 weeks and paternity leave at 2 weeks, and I said, no. Pick which one. If we can do without an officer for 6 weeks, I don't care which restroom they use. And so what we did is we switched that to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So that it's consistent
It
across
was
both.
only 2 weeks?
Pardon?
It was only 2 weeks?
It was 2 weeks for male officers, it was 6 weeks for female officers, and I didn't care which way it went, but it needed to be the same for both of them. One of the things I do in my job is I picture what the conversation with the judge goes like, and that was a conversation I was not comfortable having. The other thing that was a concern is, they had a concern specifically about the dog, and we did not address that in the contract, because it's not a contract issue, but we did let them know that there is $5,000 that has been allocated in the budget for maintenance of the dog. And there was no guarantees that was what was gonna happen, but that was so. And as I'm looking at this, I'm not seeing it,
I haven't seen this at all. It's
so
like-
we stuck it in there, but, I thought we had it on there, so it could still be up for action next time, I guess, but I just wanna make sure that everybody gets a chance to look at it and review it, and if they have concerns or questions, they bring it up.
I would love to see it, I haven't seen it at all.
That was,
It's in the packet.
It was not in the packet.
the dog stuff was not in the package.
No, the dog stuff is not in the packet,
Okay.
it's in the
The
budget.
collective-
Collective bargaining is in
I
the
sent
packet.
I printed it all out yesterday, it wasn't in it.
Want to bet nickel?
No. On the record, I don't gamble.
I want $1 of that action. Anyway, Madam Chair, do you want to go to public comment?
Is there any other public comments that you guys would like to make?
Thank you for your attention to our
Thank you for
problems.
coming. I think
Yes.
it's great when people come.
We
Wish
appreciate
more
the
people would
input.
come.
It's really hard for us just to do it based on our own experience. We like to hear what's going on in other neighborhoods and other concerns. Appreciate it.
If you can tie particular vehicles to, the grocery store, let us know and we can have a conversation, but,
Yep.
you know, it's,
I've always seen, the IGA truck, a few times. The predominant problem is, in my opinion, it's not the trucks running stop signs. Yes, I have seen one or two cases of that. Generally, it's dump trucks, service vehicles, contractors' vehicles, regular pickup trucks, sedans, and stuff like that. So,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and end the meeting.
yeah.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Ann.